30 years ago, the Queen Mother bought the Castle of Mey on the shores of Pentland Firth in the far north of the Scottish mainland. The castle needed a great deal of repair, and the 200-year-old garden also needed a lot of attention. As Alan Titchmarsh discovered, the results of a lot of tender loving care are truly remarkable, as we see now in this report. Well, I think Alan Titchmarsh is pulling on his gumboots even now, and if you stay with us, you'll see him in a moment.
This is Caithness, remote yet beautiful, the northernmost county of the Scottish mainland. There are few trees here. Only tough and ground-hugging grasses can put up with the strong winds and salty spray that regularly douses this part of the coastline. It's hardly the ideal patch of land on which to plant a garden. The Castle of Mey dominates the scenery. In 1952, when Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth the Queen Mother bought it, it had suffered from years of neglect. Since then, she's restored both castle and garden, creating a secluded haven to which she retreats every summer. The 18-foot-high stone walls and a honeycomb of gnarled hedges offer protection to the vegetables, fruits and flowers that are mingled together in this royal cottage garden. You'll find a bed of roses in nearly every British garden, but all too often the soil underneath the bushes is left bare. It's a prime site for weeds, and weeds mean work. But here, there's something different. Just look at this. It's a bonny patchwork of colour because under and around the roses have been planted bedding plants. The season starts in spring with these glorious candelabra primulas, but spring doesn't really arrive until about June. Then we have the summer bedders to follow. The primulas will stay in all the year round. Things like pansies, petunias, snapdragons and lobelia and alisander edging will come in annually every summer. The roses themselves are very strong. Just look at this foliage, thick and leathery, ready to repel weather and those common diseases of mildew and black spots. So when you're looking for a strong rose, look first at its leaves. Then if it's a good hardy plant like that, you'll get this glorious show of flowers right through the summer. The Queen Mother's favourite roses are here in profusion. It comes as no surprise to find plenty of bushes of Silver Jubilee. I'd like to tell you that the estate supplies the butter for the royal slice of bread. Unfortunately, it doesn't, but it does supply the salad for the royal sandwiches. Here in this cottage garden mixture of flowers, fruit and vegetables, we've got a stupendous array of lettuces. In fact, I've seen few gardens anywhere in Britain with a kitchen garden that rivals this one. Masses of vegetables for the main course, soft fruits in abundance for dessert. But there are gourmet's delights here too. Just look at these globe artichokes growing in a really rich soil and producing those big fat heads that we know them for. But you know, a lot of people are very frightened of globe artichokes. I don't really think they know what to do with them. Well, the time to harvest them is when they're like this. Nice, fat and plump, with the bottom scales just opening, but the centre of the flower not showing any of its blue colouring. Cut them off, stick them in a pan of water for half an hour or so till they're nice and tender and those lower scales will pull off. And you'll find that the bit to eat is right at the bottom of that leaf scale. You just pull it out with your teeth. Delicious. The centre of the flower is called the choke. It's very spiky. Pull it out and throw it away. And at the bottom of it, you'll find a soft, tender heart. Now, a big fat head like that, swimming in butter on your plate, is absolutely knockout. This to me is the aristocrat of the clematis tribe. So if you're tired of the purple flowered type, Clematis tangutica with its yellow thick-petalled bells and fluffy seed heads will cheer you up from summer to autumn. But for scent, there's no beating the sweet pea. A packet of seeds sown outdoors in March will bring you a feast of fragrant flowers in summer at eye level. Cover up their bare legs with something like salpiglossis, annuals with trumpet flowers as bright as any stained glass window. Or with easy-to-grow nasturtiums. The only problem here is caterpillars. I wonder if it knows whose leaves it's eating. There are some flowers that really bring out the competitive spirit in gardeners, and the begonia is one of them. The flowers are so big and brassy that they really tempt you to have a go because they look so exotic. They're in tremendous variety and they really are quite easy to grow. You start off in about February with these dried up tubers about that big, sit them in pots of peaty compost and keep them gently warm. And as the summer unfolds, you'll get these large succulent leaves and massive great flowers in tremendous variation of colour. You also get the smaller flowered kinds that have a pendulous habit. They're ideal in hanging baskets. But the thing to remember about all of them, if you want to stop the flowers dropping, and that's a common fault, is to keep the compost evenly moist. Let it get too dry and those blooms will just drop off, ruining all your work. But just looking at this house and its variety of shape and colour, you'll see other plants dotted in between the begonias, petunias and fuchsias. And at the front, a bit of a surprise, trailing lobelia grown in pots individually, making a superb splash of colour right along the front. Anybody can copy this in a house that doesn't need any heat at all in summer. On just a few days in the year, the gardens are open to the public. They're at their very best in midsummer, when the traditional herbaceous borders seem to groan under the weight of flowers. Hardy daisies jostle tender dahlias, and butterflies make the most of the free nectar. The Queen Mother escapes here only briefly each summer, to relax and enjoy her flowers, fruits and vegetables. It's now 30 years since the start of the garden's restoration, and for the royal family's most accomplished gardener, this plot will always be special.